you do? What would you do if you had a magic wand to weigh over matchmaking in the Ultimate Fighting Championship? And I got to tell you, I see myself that I could fill any role. Somebody gets, hey, Chael, can you cover for me? I'm gone for a day, I'm gone for a week, I'm gone for a month. Boom, I'll slide into any role. I see myself that way. Not matchmaking. Matchmaking is a skill and an art in and of itself, and if you have it, you have something very rare. You guys know the story of how Joe Silva started with matchmaking? This story has been told many times, and nobody's ever corrected it, including Joe. So I've always accepted it as truth. But I must tell you that I've never actually heard Joe say these words, but I do believe the story, and it was something along these lines. Okay, now you got to go back to 1993. This is before Dana White and company buy the organization in 2001. Somewhere back then in 1993, Joe Silva was a fan, and Joe knew martial arts. Many people don't know that about him because he doesn't carry himself like Mr. Rough Guy, but he is. I mean, he's got his own gym at home, and Muay Thai was his real favorite. Kickboxing. Okay. I'm only sharing that with you because now you have a guy that kind of understands and he knows what he's looking at, but he also knows what he would have trouble dealing with if somebody else came. So he's able to apply some of this personal experience into his matchmaking, and he gets a number for the UFC. And the way this story was told, it was like in the back of a black belt magazine. It was an email address, it was a phone number, something like this, and Joe calls it and tells them, hey, here's your problem with your matchmaking. I like these 10 guys you got on your card, but you should have put X with Y, you should have put B up here with D, and here's the reasoning. He gets the other person to listen. The other person goes, well, what would you do with this situation? And Joe tells him, but he also tells him why. Here's what you can expect, and here's why that matchup works. So Joe started giving them cards. Okay, here's your players, put this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. And before you knew it, the guy on the other end just said, hey, this is now your job. You're now the matchmaker. You're going to do that for all of these. And that's really close to exactly what happened. And that was a position that Joe kept forever until Joe said, I don't want to do this anymore. But you can also see where somebody that has that ability is very hard to replace because there's not a lot of us with that ability. I'm one of them. So what would you do at 170 and at 185? You're in a very unique spot. We're possibly your best guy. Alex Pereira is possibly the best middleweight alive. And I know out of respect, we're going to say that he is because he has the championship. But you also understand, if I was to start doing some parity there, there's a number of fights that Alex Pereira would not be the favorite at DraftKings if they got matched up. Can we agree on that? So he might be the best. And then you take a look at Chimaev. Chimaev might be the best welterweight in the world. Now, I'm not trying to disrespect Usman or our champion Leon Edwards. I'm saying he might be. Can we agree? They have one thing in common, and this came out from both of them this week. Chimaev's manager was speaking over here, and Pereira's manager was speaking over here, and I caught them both. And you want to know the one commonality they have? Neither of them can take a fight on short notice. And the manager stated the reasoning for both guys. 2 separate interviews. Our guys can't make weight quickly. Chimaev can make 170, but it's going to take him some time. Alex can make 185, but it's going to take him some time. Now, that's very relevant. There could be other people like this. But we do understand as fans within this industry the power and at times the necessity of making something happen really fast. There was a light heavyweight fight on our last pay-per-view that shockingly ended in a draw. And between the conclusion of that match and the press conference, which is only moments, the UFC was able to make a title fight between Glover and Hill. I mean, things have to be, and you see the opportunity there. You saw how happy Hill was. You saw how willing Glover was. Their opponents, by example, Lionheart comes to mind, who now loses his opponent as Hill. I mean, everybody understood because we understand at times we have to be able to do things that happen very fast, but we have Chimaev, who might be the best. We have Alex Pereira, who might be the best. But they need time to prepare. They need time to prepare to beat the scale the day before. What would you do? If Alex Pereira was no longer champion, here might be another way I would ask it. If Alex Pereira was no longer champion, he gets beat. He gets stripped. He walks away. Does he get an immediate title shot at 205 pounds? Think of that. Think of what your answer would be. But now ask that about Chimaev. If Chimaev was to walk away from 170, which is a position that he's in right now, and it's a choice. It's a choice to say, I'm not going to go back down there. He's still undefeated. He's still a top guy, though he hasn't beaten the top middleweights, but that is a division that is massively in flux. For a variety of reasons, does he walk right in and get a title shot? If you have the power, what do? You then have somebody who's slipping through the cracks, and not for long, and his name is Rakhmonov. Rakhmonov is awesome. I don't have Sherdog in front of me. I'm going off the top of my head here, guys, but I'm damn close. I'm good at this, and I know I'm close. I'm going to tell you that Rakhmonov is 15-0. I'm going to tell you that he's finished every single fight. 7 of them were striking finish, TKO and KO, and 8 of them were submission finish. Now, I'm very close, and before you have to correct me, don't think I'm going to appreciate you for correcting me. I'm going to think you're a bit of a nerd if you know that any better than I did. I think I'm a bit of a nerd for knowing that in the first place. But he's awesome, right? He's awesome. And he had a very weird 2022. He didn't break through. He's not a breakthrough star. I'm a fan. I talk about him when I can, but I have to call him Rakhmonov. I don't know if that's his first name or his last name or a nickname. That's not my fault. That's his. But he's awesome. And he's got to get his exposure. He had a fight with Neil Magny. That should have been very meaningful. But he only had 2 fights in all of 2022. He didn't get some major headlines. He's up in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, he will be a feature match, not a main event, on the worldwide leader opposite Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal matters. Jeff Neal's got the record, but he's also got the temperament, and he has the look. He looks the part. But will that be the breakthrough moment for Rakhmonov? That's largely up to Rakhmonov's management. That's largely up to Rakhmonov. How many people do you want to tell? How many people do you have the ability to tell? How many people do you have the ability to make care and be interested in your fight? Because I do care. But that fight's 2 weeks away, and I found out about it this morning. That's not my fault. I read all this stuff. He's a fellow wrestler. I would do my best to serve him when I can. But I have to know some of those things, and I share that with you because Neal is on the come-up. Rakhmonov is on the come-up. And when you're bringing guys up in a division that you think you already have established, you have to know there's a reason for doing it. Are we sure Chimaev is going to return to 170? Now that we know that he can't go to 170 on short notice because beating the scale is so difficult, would it be a good time just to move him to 85? If so, what do you do with him? Same question. But now I want you to apply it to Pereira. If Pereira leaves 185 pounds, by choice or by defeat, does he get an immediate title shot at 205? If you had those decisions to make, what would you do?